index on the purchase price. The next thing which is quite important is to ensure that you've seen the plans and you ask the estate agent or the builder if the plans are final. Is there planning permission? If there's no planning permission, that's fine, no problem, we'll deal with it. And we're going to explain a bit later on what that means. But we need to know now. Why? Because if the plans aren't final, if there's no planning permission, it means that there could be changes. Could be changes to the design of the building, could be changes to the size of the property, all different things. And it's just something you need to be aware of, that's all. The next thing is, fix the price. If the price is too high and you can't get the estate agent down, there's no point calling a lawyer. Sometimes the lawyer can get it down a little bit, depending on who the lawyer is and if he's got a lot of clientele, a lot of clout for that particular builder. But again, if the builder is not willing to go down in your price, it's out of budget, there's no point calling a lawyer. Those are the 4 things you need to do. Okay, when you're buying new properties off the plans, then often there is no planning permission, which means that your beautiful apartment in Modern may be changed to something you don't like. Again, your completion date, when you get the key, is going to be linked to when they receive planning permission. So they'll tell you that the property be ready within 24 months from when we receive planning permission. Now, planning permission in Israel, God bless them, can take a little bit of time. So what do I do as an attorney? As an attorney I say, fine, there's no planning permission, but, number 1, if there are changes to the property which my client doesn't like, I'm cancelling and I want all my money back. The next thing is that if my client likes the property, but the property size has actually gone down, I want compensation per square metre. Okay, there's no reason that I should be out of pocket because I've signed a contract with you before planning permission. So that's the little bit of planning permission. The next important stage, registration. In Israel there are 3 main types of registration. One of them is minhal, which is minhal Markakei Yisrael. Those of you who are quite proficient in Hebrew can go to www.nni.gov.il and that will give you a little bit of more detailed understanding of what the minhal is. It's very boring this bit, so I'm just going to go through it very quickly. The minhal is a body which is the government, and they lease their land to you. You have a 99-year lease. Mostly you do not have to pay any money, and after 99 years it renews itself. But in some specific cases you do have to pay an annual fee. That's something when you buy a property your lawyer will check and tell you. Mostly when you're buying new properties, it's all been paid up front by the builder, so you don't have to worry about it. Again, it's something your lawyer will tell you in advance. It's not a surprise. The next thing is the tabu, which is the land registry. This is the closest we get to freehold, because you actually own the property, okay, in most cases. I'm using freehold very lightly in English terms just so you can relate to it. The weakest type of title is called bar reshut. Bar reshut is you're there by permission. The land is owned by the Jewish agency, the land itself, but you own the property on it. But they can kick you out whenever you want. Typically, the bar reshut is in areas of the West Bank, and in farms like Tirosh, around Bet Shemesh area. That's a typical area of the bar reshut. 83% of properties in Israel are registered with the minhal. The others are split mostly between tabu and a very, very small percentage with the bar reshut. With the government as it is at the moment, they're trying to put more property into the tabu, which is good for everybody, and more freehold. Do you want to ask a question? Okay. Okay, so that's a little bit about registration. Again, there's a lot more to it because of time constraints, I can't go into everything. The next important thing is the payment schedule. When you ask your estate agent, your builder, how much is the property, he's going to tell you, your property is $300,000. Stop. Your property is not and never will be $300,000. It will never be 1 million shekel. The price is always linked to either the cost of living index or the building index. Which means, let's say we sign a contract today, and the price is 1 million shekel, and we see that the building index is 1. Okay, that building index now becomes our basis. 1 is the basis. Even if the building index goes down below 1, we don't enjoy the benefit from it. It's always going to be 1. If it goes up to 3, then we have to pay the percentage of difference. Okay, so if the index moves a lot over the lifetime of the contract, you have to figure that in. To tell you how much it is, I don't know. Again, those of you, if you want to play around on the computer, can go to Google. You Google Central Statistics Bureau of Israel, and they have a whole computer there of the building index and cost of living index. Most builders like to tie it to the cost of, to the building index because that's the right index. Some of them agree to go to the cost of living index. Depending on exactly what moves and what's going on is what I try to negotiate, and obviously I liaise with the client for that. Now, because the price is indexed, and because you can end up paying a lot of the index, it may be in your interest to pay early. The more you pay earlier on, the less there is of the price to be indexed. That's the advantage. The disadvantage is that as you go on later on in the contract, the builder becomes less interested in you, you become more of a pain, he's already got you, he's got most of your money. So, it just depends. If the index is moving very, very fast, then I'll tell clients just do it and you'll save the money and we'll sort out the builder when we need to sort them out. And if we don't trust the builder or there's problems, then clearly we will not do it. The next important thing is making a timely manner of payments. If we are late in making a payment, the builder can be late on giving you the key. If you're 6 months late on giving a payment, they can put off the completion date for 6 months and you have nothing to argue about. When you sign a contract, you know exactly when you're going to be making the payments. It's not a surprise, and your lawyer and yourselves can get the act together even with all the bureaucracy, and you can make the payments in a timely manner, and that's one excuse less for the builder of becoming late and delaying the key. The actual payments themselves, how does it work? Some builders like to say, listen, we're signing a contract today, 1st of January, you're ready, and we're going to be ready in 24 months. I want 15% today, 5% on the key, yes, 5%, okay? And the rest of it evenly between the period of January 1st and the 24 months. Personally, I don't like that because it means that the builder can sit, do absolutely nothing, and he gets his money. So, the next thing I try and negotiate is stages of building. I say to them, okay, we'll give you 15% on signing. The next stage we'll give you when you get planning permission. The next stage when you have foundations down. The next stage when there's a structure. In other words, I'm not releasing money until you, Mr. Builder, actually are doing something, investing time in my property. The best thing I try to do is do both. I have a date, and this is sort of, I have a date, and not before foundations, not before structure, and everybody's happy. The builder's got his date, and I've got my structures. Again, lately, because the builders are very lazy, they don't like that. They like to have a date, and it's becoming harder and harder to actually have the structure that I like of the actual, the stages when they complete certain parts of the property. That's what I like, but times change. The next important thing is the bank guarantee. As I said, we're actually needing 5% of the money to the key, which means you're departing with a lot of money. And what happens if if the builder goes bankrupt? Or what happens if you don't get your key, or the builder goes away, whatever. The bank guarantee is there to protect you. What a bank guarantee is, it's a document you get from the builder's bank that says, you have deposited X amount into a special account, and if for some reason you do not get your key, you can present this document to us and we'll give you back your money. Some of you may have heard of prospective that went bankrupt, and people that didn't get their money back. That was because that people deposited their money into accounts which weren't the specific accounts which enabled the bank to issue a bank guarantee. And there were lawyers involved in that as well, who were depositing money, A, B, C, left, right and centre, but not the proper accounts. They didn't have a bank guarantee. I unfortunately represented 2 clients who were bought in a property in Mala Dumim. The builder had gone bankrupt. I'd actually presented the bank guarantee and I actually got the money back, and the money was linked to the index as well. So it does work if it's done properly. In light of Chefziva, the government are issuing vouchers. It's a voucher system that you pay with a voucher, and there's no misunderstanding of accounts, different accounts. You pay with a voucher. If you don't pay with a voucher, that's it. The next important thing is the completion date. We've paid all the money, we've upgraded our kitchen, we've done what we need to do. When is it going to be ready? So, as I previously said, when there's no planning permission, the builder tends to say that we will give you the key 24 months within receipt of planning permission. So that's fine, no problem. But as the gentleman shaking his head is probably aware of, that's not the whole story. What happens is that each builder has themselves a little safety net between 60 days and 120 days. During this time, they can sit, they can do what they want, they can take a vacation.
No, just for a minute, sorry.